Imagine a nation encircled by neighboring countries on all sides and lacking a coastline of their own. Yes, a landlocked country is one whose territory is not connected to any ocean or sea. There are 4 de facto landlocked states and 44 landlocked countries at present in the world. Among them is the largest landlocked nation on earth, Kazakhstan, while the most populous landlocked nation is Ethiopia. Let's zoom in over the few of the world's landlocked nations that are worthy of note. We'll start with exploring Kazakhstan. But before we do that, please press the bell icon to subscribe. And don't forget to like this video. Kazakhstan is by far the biggest landlocked nation in the world, covering 2.7 million square kilometers. It is a country in Central Asia that is bordered by 5 other nations: Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and China to the east, as well as Russia to the north. Additionally, Kazakhstan is thinly inhabited with a population of little under 20 million. It is also a transcontinental nation, extending from Eastern Europe into Western Asia. Check out the linked video where we talk about the unusual distributions of population in some countries. Similar to Kazakhstan, Mongolia covers 1.6 million square kilometers. Furthermore, with only 3.4 million people living there, it is one of the world's least inhabited areas. Despite its enormous size, it is landlocked only by 2 nations, China and Russia. Moving from Asia to the African region, located in Eastern Africa, Ethiopia covers an area of 1.1 million square kilometers. Contrary to the previously mentioned 2 countries, Ethiopia is by far the most highly populated landlocked nation in the world, with close to 110 million people and the 13th most populous overall. Its population is so big that it nearly equals that of the next 3 most populated landlocked nations. Ethiopia is surrounded by 6 nations. Among these lays 3 of the world's poorest and insecure countries like Somalia, South Sudan, and Sudan. Staying in the African continent, Chad is another fascinating landlocked nation with over 1.3 million square kilometers. Similar to Ethiopia, it is landlocked by 6 nations, including Nigeria, and is situated in Middle Africa. Chad is currently the 11th most populous landlocked nation worldwide with 13.6 million people. Africa enjoys the greatest number of landlocked countries, amounting to 16. It is followed by Europe with 14, Asia with 12, and South America with 2. The United Nations Geoscheme lists these continents in order of landlocked country count. Nonetheless, Europe could have the greatest number of landlocked nations, 21 when factoring in Armenia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, and South Ossetia. Up until the 1990s, 30 landlocked nations existed in the world, yet the dissolution of the Soviet Union has increased their number by rendering Kazakhstan, Armenia, Belarus, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, and subsequently further division of some former Soviet Union countries rendered South Ossetia, Montenegro, as well as the unilateral declaration of independence by Kosovo, while a subsequent division at Africa rendered landlocked nations like Eritrea and South Sudan. Please like and subscribe for more fascinating material from TubeGeo. Interestingly, all landlocked nations are found in the Afro-Eurasia continent, except for Bolivia and Paraguay. Few continents exist without any landlocked nations. This includes Australia and North America. There are also no landlocked nations in Oceania. Landlocked countries may be bordered by a single country having different access to the high seas, or they may also be bordered by 2 or more countries, or be surrounded by other landlocked countries, making the country double landlocked. Please subscribe to our channel and give the video a thumbs up for more interesting content. At our globe exists 3 countries that are landlocked by a single country: Lesotho, a state surrounded by South Africa, while Italy houses 2 landlocked states, the San Marino and the Vatican, enclaved in Rome and denoted by the UN as an absorber state. 7 landlocked countries are surrounded by only 2 mutual bordering neighbors. empires. They are Andorra, Bhutan, Eswatini, Liechtenstein, Moldova, Mongolia, and Nepal. However, more landlocked territories can be added to this group, 3 to be specific. 2 of them are de facto states with no or limited international recognition: South Ossetia and Transnistria, and another one is the West Bank territory administered by the state of Palestine. Cases where the countries surrounding a country are landlocked themselves are referred to as double landlocked. At present, only 2 such nations exist. One of them is Liechtenstein, which is surrounded by Australia and Switzerland in Western Europe. Another is Uzbekistan in Central Asia, bordered by Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. Taking a look back in history, the kingdom of Württemberg was double landlocked following the fall of the Holy Roman Empire. The world had no double landlocked nations between Germany's unification in 1871 and the end of World War I. Uzbekistan was formerly a part of the Russian Empire, which had access to both the ocean and the sea, while Liechtenstein shared borders with the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which had a coastal line that ran along the Adriatic Sea. After being a part of both the Soviet Union and the Russian Empire, Uzbekistan became the second double landlocked nation when the latter collapsed in 1991. However, the Caspian Sea's status dispute determines Uzbekistan's dual landlocked status. Some nations, particularly Azerbaijan and Turkmenistan, contend that the Caspian Sea ought to be regarded as a real sea. Unfortunately, landlocked conditions have historically hampered national progress compared to states with coastlines. It isolates a country from vital maritime resources like fisheries and hinders or outright bans access to maritime trade, which is essential for societal and economic development. Therefore, compared to inland regions without access to the ocean, coastal regions or inland regions with access to the ocean have typically been wealthier and more populated. Please subscribe to our channel and give it a thumbs up. Furthermore, a landlocked nation may have reduced national revenue due to factors including a lack of seaports, coastal trade hubs, and significant fishing fleets. As a result, the United Nations has classified 32 of the 44 states as landlocked developing countries, with 17 of them being regarded as least developed. In order to send and receive goods from foreign markets, LLDCs must pay high transportation costs, which deters investment, reduces their competitive advantage, and isolates them from global commerce. Seaborne trade must pass through other nations, which frequently necessitates navigating awkward border crossing procedures and inadequate infrastructure. On the contrary, given its mining sector, Zambia, a landlocked LLDC, have been able to maintain a positive trade balance. Political unrest between Uganda and Kenya in the 2000s had a major impact on Uganda's exports, which are mostly dependent on goods traveling through the Mombasa port in Kenya. The same can be said about Bhutan, whose goods are predominantly purchased by India, as well as Mongolia, which exports primarily to China. Neighbors can also be crucial trading partners for landlocked nations. Please do not forget to press the bell icon below and give a thumbs up to the video. In his book, The Bottom Billion, Paul Collier makes the case that one of the 4 main traps for growth that might hold a nation back is to be landlocked in an impoverished area. He discovered that, generally speaking, improved growth in a bordering nation tended to have a positive knock-on effect for the host nation. Due to their limited ability to engage in international trade, landlocked nations are especially affected. He continues, if you are coastal, you serve the world. If you are landlocked, you serve your neighbors. Some have countered having a landlocked nation has advantages since it acts as a natural tariff barrier to keep out low-cost goods. This has occasionally resulted in stronger regional food system compared to emerging nations along the coast. Landlocked nations incur substantially greater expenses for international cargo transportation. In the past, passing through several border controls were necessary for travel between a landlocked nation and a nation that did not border the former. The development of air travel in recent years years has essentially eliminated this obstacle. On the other hand, being landlocked doesn't always mean a nation is impoverished. Luxembourg, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein are just a few examples of landlocked nations that are incredibly affluent. Nonetheless, there's no denying that being landlocked has a negative impact on the nation's capacity to advance. Fortunately, for the aforementioned nations, traveling around Europe is made simple by the Schengen area, a region made up of 27 European nations that have formally done away with passport requirements and all other forms of border control at its shared borders. So there we go. Countries with zero coastal lines are known as landlocked countries. Such status has had its pros and cons over those nations. Please remember to hit the like button, subscribe for more content from TubeGeo, and share your thoughts in the comment section. Are you watching this from a landlocked country? Do you see any other additional challenges related to a country being landlocked? This is TubeGeo, and I want to thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you in our upcoming video. Until then, take care.